Why can't you relax? Even when you finally stop moving, your mind keeps going. You lie in bed, but your thoughts don't. You keep replaying conversations, thinking about tomorrow, worrying about money, your future, your life. And even when things look okay on the outside, inside, you still feel pressure. This chapter explains something most people never realize. You were never designed to carry this much mentally. And later in this video, I'm going to show you the hidden reason anxiety keeps growing, why some people do everything right and still feel empty, and the one sentence in this chapter that could completely change the way you live. Matthew 6 starts in a surprising place. Jesus talks about people doing good things, but doing them to be seen, giving publicly, praying publicly, trying to look spiritual. And the deeper point is this: some people don't live for God. They live for approval. Now think about how modern that is. People today don't just eat food, they photograph it first. Some people can't even enjoy a moment without proving they had it. And honestly, we all do this in different ways. We want recognition, validation, reassurance. We want people to notice us. But here's the problem. If your peace depends on approval, you'll never fully rest. Because there will always be another opinion, another comparison, another person doing better than you. And the exhausting part is, most people don't even realize they're performing anymore. Later in this chapter, Jesus explains the real reason people feel mentally drained all the time. And it's deeper than stress. Then Jesus teaches something almost everyone has heard, the Lord's Prayer. But most people repeat it without really thinking about what it means. Give us today our daily bread. That line is powerful. Not, give us next year's answers. Not, show me my entire future. Today's bread, today's strength, today's help. And maybe that sounds simple, but most anxiety comes from mentally living too far ahead. Your body is here, but your mind is 6 months into the future. You're trying to solve conversations that haven't happened, problems that don't exist yet, fears that may never happen at all. And your brain never gets to rest. Have you ever noticed that? That physically, you're sitting still, but mentally, you're running constantly. Jesus is teaching dependence, not panic, trust, not control. And honestly, control is what most people are addicted to. Not because they feel powerful, but because they feel afraid. In a few minutes, Jesus says one sentence that completely destroys the illusion of control. And when you understand it, this chapter hits differently. Then Jesus shifts into something deeper. He talks about treasure. Where your treasure is, there your heart will be also. Meaning, what you value shapes what controls your attention. And attention is powerful. Because whatever you constantly focus on starts shaping your emotions. If all you consume is fear, comparison, negativity, pressure, your inner world becomes chaotic. Some people wake up and immediately flood their brain with stress, notifications, news, comparison, pressure. Then wonder why they can't feel peace. Jesus says the eye is the lamp of the body, meaning what you constantly look at eventually affects your whole life. And honestly, some people aren't exhausted because life is impossible. They're exhausted because their mind never gets silence. Some people check their phones so fast in the morning, their brain hasn't even fully loaded yet. And this leads to the biggest point in the entire chapter. Why worrying about tomorrow is destroying today. This is the emotional center of Matthew 6. Jesus says, do not worry about your life. And at first, that almost sounds unrealistic, because people hear that and think, okay, but life is stressful. And Jesus never says problems aren't real. He's saying worrying adds nothing. It doesn't fix tomorrow, it just steals today. Then he points to nature, birds, flowers, creation, and he says, they're cared for, and you matter more than they do. Now think about this honestly. How much of your mental energy goes into things you can't control, can't predict, and haven't even happened yet? That's exhausting. Some people are physically resting, but mentally carrying 5 future scenarios, 3 fears, old regrets, and everyone else's expectations, all at once. No wonder you can't relax. Here's the hidden reason anxiety keeps growing. Your mind was never meant to carry every possible future simultaneously. The sentence that destroys the illusion of control is this: each day has enough trouble of its own. Why is worrying about tomorrow destroying today? Because attention is limited. And if tomorrow consumes your mind, you never fully live now. Matthew 6 shows something powerful about Jesus. He wasn't teaching denial, pretending life is easy, or ignoring reality. He was teaching trust. Peace doesn't come from controlling everything. It comes from knowing you don't have to carry everything alone. Maybe the reason you can't relax is because you've been trying to hold tomorrow, pressure, fear, success, and other people's opinions all at the same time. So, before you leave this video, I want you to do something. Not tomorrow, not next week, right now. Take a moment and ask yourself, what's one thing you've been mentally carrying that you were never meant to carry alone? Maybe it's a financial worry. Maybe it's a relationship that's falling apart. Maybe it's guilt from your past. Maybe it's fear about your future. Maybe it's a burden you've carried for so long that you've forgotten what it feels like not to carry it. Now, here's the exercise. Get a piece of paper or open the Notes app on your phone and write down every single thing that's weighing on your mind right now. Don't filter it. Don't organize it. Just get it out of your head and onto the page. Write every worry, every fear, every unanswered question, every pressure, everything. Because sometimes the first step toward peace is simply seeing clearly what you're carrying. Now look at that list, and beside each item, write one of 2 things. I can influence this, or I cannot control this. Be honest. Can you influence it? Can you take an action today? Can you make a phone call, have a conversation, create a plan, take one small step? If the answer is yes, write down the next action you can take. Not 10 actions, not a 5-year plan, just the next step. But if it's something you cannot control, someone else's opinion, someone else's decision, something that hasn't happened yet, a future outcome you can't predict, then write these words beside it. This is not mine to carry. Read that again. This is not mine to carry. Because most of the weight people feel isn't coming from today's problems. It's coming from tomorrow's possibilities. It's coming from imagined conversations, imagined failures, imagined disasters, things that may never happen. And yet, they steal today's peace. Matthew 6 reminds us that every day already has enough to deal with. You don't need to add tomorrow's burdens to today's load. So tonight, before you go to sleep, look at your list. Pray about it. Talk honestly to God about it. Not with perfect words, just honestly. Then choose one thing, just one thing that you're going to hand over. One fear, one burden, one worry, and say, God, I've been carrying this alone for too long. I give this to you. Will the problem disappear instantly? Maybe not. But something else happens. The burden gets lighter. Because peace doesn't come from having all the answers. Peace comes from knowing you don't have to carry everything by yourself. And that's the invitation of Matthew 6. Not a life with no problems, but a life where you're no longer carrying them alone. So, I'll leave you with one final question. If you truly believed God was with you tomorrow, what would you stop worrying about today? Think about that, and I'll see you in the next chapter.